guys, I'm Andrea
And I'm Don.
and we are here to talk about white noise and whispers and some of the things and jargon and phrases you may see. I'm going to start with crisis apparition. You might actually see the word crisis apparition will appear in some of the episodes of White Noise and Whispers. This actually means that a tragedy has actually happened, an accident will have occurred on the premises, and that apparition will show itself over and over again. This does not mean, however, that this apparition is actually interactive.
You may also hear the word residual energy. Residual energy is often referred to as like a videotape being played back into the fabric of the building. This is usually where something has been caught in the building and it is just literally playing over and over and over again. Some people may see it, some people may not. But if you ever hear the word residual energy, that just refers to something being played back just as a video would.
Sometimes you may hear the word live link. This is when our spirit guides are actually talking to us. Our spirit guides are people who actually come into our lives, into a medium's head, and will stand beside them. We get to meet our spirit guides through years and years and years of meditation. Our spirit guides will make themselves known to us. We will know when they are close. They have a certain feel or a certain smell. They are our link between this plane and the spirit plane. What also a spirit guide can do is help us facilitate a link that isn't very strong. The spirit guide can actually ask a fourth party what their name is, where they come from, and then the spirit guide will then pass that information on to the medium. Spirit guides can come from all different walks of life. They are usually people who have travelled the spiritual journey and have come back 7 times. This is called seventh being. Once someone hits the spiritual journey and returns 7 times, they will then return only as a spirit guide.
You may hear the word cleanse. Now, a cleansing takes place sometimes because of negativity in the atmosphere with people. It involves certain things such as rock salt. There's a prayer that gets to be said as well, and there's a very precise procedure that needs to be followed, which I will not go into for your own safety because we don't want anyone at home trying this. Needless to say though, the person will sit with their feet in water, which has got the salt in it. The water will be used as well to put a mark of protection on that person, and a very precise ritual will take place, after which an object will be discarded along with any negativity that that person may have had around them or within them.
Thank you, Don. You may also hear the word clearance used. Clearances are used at some locations and they're used an awful lot at people's homes. Now, a clearance has a very precise method again. It does involve a prayer. It does involve opening every window and door and even the refrigerator and the microwave. You might think it's a bit extreme, but please bear in mind we have to be careful. A cleanse will involve rock salt and water, as Don has stated, very, very similar to a cleansing. A prayer will also be said as well. We won't say what the prayer actually is, and we won't tell you the exact procedure. What will happen is every door and window, as we go around every single room from the right hand side, negative energy will be pushed out of the door and pushed out of the home and pushed out of the location. We are then left to actually do a cleanse on the occupants or the people on the investigation. As Don has just explained, that is where the cleanse comes in. I believe Don is now going to speak to you about the word you may hear about protection, spirit light.
Thanks, Andrea. Now, protection is very, very important. I cannot emphasise how important protection is on investigations. Whatever level you're at, protection is essential. Now, there are different forms of protection. Some do a white light protection, some will do just a simple prayer. Now, the protection that we like to use is a spirit light protection, where we encircle ourselves in a light that comes from Great Spirit, passes through the body into the ground, and that is our grounding. We then envisage a light coming from the ground coming back through the body, going up to Great Spirit. Once these lights have merged, we encircle them and make them spin very, very fast. This is the protection that we use. You can use whatever you like, but I cannot emphasise strongly enough how important protection is on your investigations, so please be safe when you're out there.
Right, Don touched upon the word grounding during that. You will actually hear this word said quite a lot as well. Grounding is to make sure that any investigation or any investigator stays in the here and now. Grounding is grounding yourself to Mother Earth. This is encompassing the light. As it leaves your body, it actually goes into Mother Earth. What grounding actually does is stops any investigator from getting dizzy, headachy, and actually seeing things that aren't really there. We don't want them going the other side of the veil. The veil between the two planes is very, very thin, and this keeps them in the here and now. So grounding with protection is essential. If you are doing any investigation, please be safe, please read up, please do your protection and grounding properly. You don't want to take any negatives home. Okay, during some of the episodes, you actually might hear the word negative energy. Now this scares an awful lot of people. Now, it may not be as bad as you actually feel. The negative energy is a bad spirit. It isn't a demon, it isn't a devil, it isn't, something to be scared about. It's a bad person. There are bad people in all walks of life. It doesn't change when someone passes over. That person, that character, that consciousness all remains. A negative energy is a human that has passed that is still a bit of a wally. That's what I will say about that. I'm then going to move on to being a malevolent spirit. Now, a malevolent spirit might be somebody who has never walked the earth plane. That's a completely different ballgame. That is something to be wary of. These have never walked the earth plane, and therefore they can come in all different shapes and sizes. They are there to cause disharmony, disruption, they trap spirits, they hold them back. They don't want anyone to be happy. And these people can attach themselves, or non-person should I say, they can attach themselves to somebody, causing an attachment. Now an attachment will cause a person to be very unwell, to be very depressed, to do things they wouldn't ordinarily do. A lot of bad things will start to happen around them. When this starts to happen, this is when we come in with our cleansing methods, as you've heard us mention. So there is a difference between malevolent, never walked on the earth plane, or negative, bad people, bad spirits.
I'd like to talk to you about chakras now. The chakras is the way that mediums will open up. Often they'll start out in an open circle where we all started out, and then you end up in a closed circle where the advanced start. And the chakras, there are 7 of. Each is a different colour, representing a different level of the human body. We open these up, and once fully open, this is how mediums can be aware of the environment around them, how they can sense things, and how they pick up on things. Can I point out that it is very, very important, once your chakras are open and you have finished your investigation or your mediumship, very important to close down. Never leave anywhere until you are fully closed down.
So Don's just explained, you might hear the word open and closed. That's very different from protection. When we start an investigation and we do our grounding and we do our protection, there's no closing down of anybody needed. The only people that need to close down are the mediums, because they are the only people that are actually open. They are the ones that will take something home with them. If the protection is done right around the people they have with them, those people should be absolutely safe. As Don said, it is very, very important. So if you are a medium or a developing medium, please take this on board. I'm now going to talk to you about something a little bit different. It's called the magnetic pole. The magnetic pole is actually using your chakras. Now, we use this technique in healing. If someone has a hip problem, or they have a shoulder pain or a headache, hands are placed. A medium will open their chakras. They will call on the energy of Great Spirit, and they will try to lift that condition away from the body. The same is done if a person actually is overcome and has an attachment of some sort, a possession-like state. Now, you saw me use this on episode 1 at Fort Amherst. We had somebody that became very, very unwell. He actually felt that he couldn't breathe. He wouldn't come forward by himself. A magnetic pull was definitely needed. This involved me getting him to actually stop what he's doing and try and concentrate, which is not always that easy. You usually need 2 mediums, though one can do it. It depends, the situation, they're all different. It involves me making my middle chakra, which is the biggest. It's the solar plexus. It's the one that lets everything pull in and out. And what I ask is I come close, I then ask my spirit guide to actually come in front of me, and I start pulling the attachment away, the magnetic pull. I pull it towards me and into my chakra. I then get my guide to expel it out of me. That is the magnetic pull. That is very similar to healing. So it can be done on all different levels. If I find I am not strong enough as one medium, there is always a good idea to have a backup medium or medium in training. Because a medium in training, though not a fully trained medium, can stand behind the person and get their spirit guide to actually push from the back forward as mine comes from the front and grabs the energy. And that's why 2 mediums were needed for the pilot episode. You'll notice that I am calling out for somebody to come and help me. The energy didn't want to move. It did move eventually, and as it was caught on camera and you saw the energy quite unhappily walked off out the door afterwards. The energy was quite big, as you saw. It had no lower level, no legs. So it was always top half. All his strength was actually in this person. He was a tough character, but we managed to do it. We got him out there and we did capture it on film.
I'd like to talk to you about psychometry. Now, this is a strange one. This is the thing where you can touch an object or you can lay your hands on a building and get some kind of almost mediumship-like state where you can pick up something just by touching an object. You may pick up a watch or a ring and be able to tell instantly anything about that person. So psychometry is a kind of, in a roundabout way, a little bit like mediumship, but rather than doing it on a psychic or spiritual level, you're doing it more by touching an object relating to that person. As I said, even a building can give off readings like that. It's an interesting one and well worth having a go yourself. But I'd like to talk to you next about the word dowsing. Now, historically, dowsing has been used for centuries. You may have seen the old films where they use a piece of wood in the shape of a Y and try and find water. Now, in modern times, on investigation, we use dowsing in the form of the rods or the pendulum, which I will talk about in a minute. Now, with the rods, you can ask out as you would on a normal investigation, and they may open outwards, they may cross, or they may hug, which means they cross over in a hugging sensation. Now, you can tell a lot from just using rods. They're very cheap to buy. You can even make yourself some. Now, also, when it comes to dowsing, we use an object called the pendulum. Now, a pendulum is almost like a plumber's plumb gadget. Andrea is showing you one now. Now, this you can ask questions with, and it will either say yes in a clockwise motion, or your yes might be an anti-clockwise motion. Maybe it will swing from left to right. It depends on the individual. Each pendulum works differently for each person, but it's well worth having a go.
Thank you, Don. Right, you'll quite often see in a White Noise and Whispers programme that we actually use a Ouija board. Some people know it as a spirit board, an angel board, however you like to know it as, it's a form of divination. Divination is any article we use to actually contact the other side. Now, the word Ouija, that is a combination of French and German. It actually means yes, yes. Why a board called yes, yes? No idea. First developed by a toy company, a children's game. The mediums and eventually just your average layperson discovered they could actually use it. Because it had been around for hundreds of years, Spirit recognised it and they like to use it. They can tell you lots of information via the angel board or the Ouija board. But be warned, only a trained medium should ever open an Ouija board, Spirit board and angel board. A glass should always be cleansed, a white light protection should always be put on, and the goodbye is the most important word that is on the board. If the glass or the planchette you are using will not go to goodbye and you want to shut that board, you must force it onto it yourself. Never ever leave a board open. That will leave spirit free to escape, and we don't want that. We don't want wandering spirits we've spoken to being stuck in the fabric of the building.
Right, there's a thing called rods, which is a strange phenomenon. Nobody actually knows what they are or where they actually come from, but they seem to have been around for a long time. Now, they can come in all kinds of sizes. They've been seen in space. They've been seen in craters even. There's a very famous bit of footage of skydivers coming down into a big crater in Mexico, I believe it is, and all around the entrance is these rods. What are they? Where do they come from? They're obviously intelligent because they skip around. They're getting seen more and more on the paranormal side of things. We've personally seen them ourselves. I can actually show you what one looks like. They actually look a little bit like cuttlefish. They have the same kind of wings and they seem to move like cuttlefish. They'll have a wingy type effect. The scientists are actually recognising these rods now and have nicknamed them affectionately skyfish.
Thanks, Don. That brings me on to orbs. Not everybody likes to talk about orbs. In fact, some paranormal groups dismiss them completely. The thing about orbs is that there's loads of different things that can cause orbs, or light anomalies, as we actually call them. A digital camera, for instance, can actually make an orb appear where there is none. Reflective light can make the orbs appear grey or white in colour. This is usually a reflection. This is not a true orb. So usually, as professional investigators, we actually discard this altogether. What we actually are interested in, though, is not the circle on top of circle on top of circle, because that is a confused camera. It's trying to focus, so everything is out of focus. That's not a true orb either. What we actually really want are the nice, perfectly round, coloured orbs that have an outer ring, a middle ring and a core. These are nice and bright, but also when we film them, we like to see them move in a particular manner. A particular manner, if it was to be like this, may indicate it has consciousness. Obviously, we have to look at location, we have to look at moisture and dust and insects. So any orb that we actually do get, we have to have a good, clear look at it. We have to slow it down, we have to zoom in, make sure there's no little legs on it, and then it may, just may, be a true orb.
Right, let me talk to you about mists. You've got to be very careful on this subject because there are so many things that can be misconstrued as paranormal. Now, when you're taking photographs, think about the temperature of the location you're in. If it's cold, if it's slightly warm, think about moisture that may be rising into the air forming a kind of steam. You might not be able to see that, but your camera will. Also, if it's cold, maybe hold your breath when you're taking the photograph, because when you're taking that photograph and you breathe out, mist. Everyone gets ecstatic. Oh, we've got mist. No, you haven't. You debunk yourself. Look also, is there a railway station nearby? Because if you've got a railway station, there could be steam, for example, if you have an old steam train. There could be dust that's thrown up, and that will travel on the wind. Trust me, it will travel. Look also, marshland, bogs and dikes. There's gases that come off of these things. These will also travel in the breeze. Any digital camera will pick it up. It can travel any distance before it dissipates. So just be careful when you're talking about mists. Think very, very carefully about what you're catching on camera.
Thank you, Don. That leaves me on to apparitions, manifestations, that kind of thing. Once we've ruled out everything Don has just told you about, once we've ruled out breath, once we've ruled out travel, once we've ruled out gases and smoking and all that other stuff, and what we're left with is this mist the starting of an apparition or manifestation? Now you'll hear the words manifestation and you'll hear the words apparition. They are the same thing. We may catch shadows on camera, we may get full-blown images on camera. These are true manifestations of spirit trying to show themselves. If they're asked very nicely, they could start as a mist, but not have quite enough energy to actually make themselves into a full apparition, a manifestation. It would be great if they did have the ability, but as yet, I've only ever seen it once.
Can I talk to you about cryptoids next? Now, cryptoids can come in all forms. Some are mythical. Some have never actually been proven, but they've been caught on camera plenty of times. Creatures like Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, these are cryptoids. Now, yes, we've got big cats roaming around in the UK. These aren't really cryptoids because they can be proven, because they have been caught on camera. It's the mythical things that are the cryptoids. Yeah, Mothman, for example, in America. Different things that you may have heard about. Owlman, for example. These are examples of cryptoids. Predominantly, they will be mythical, they will be folklore, they will be tales passed down through colleges and through generations, and it's just kept going. But you may just find that a cryptoid could just be the real deal.
And it has been known to be the real deal. We can look back at 10 creatures. I haven't got all 10 here with me, but I'm sure I can come up with the information. But for the camera, I will tell you of one. 50 years ago, we didn't actually believe there was such thing as a hog pig. There actually is. 100 years ago, we didn't know that platypuses actually appeared. They do. They are real. People saw them. People said, no, you didn't see that. But they turned out to be real and proven. These animals, they pass over. When they pass over, they can then start to make strange noises from the other side. We've been on investigations, we've heard growling actually coming from woodlands. We've been on investigations where we've caught strange shapes that have like claw-like hands. These are not your usual manifestation, your normal mists. This isn't human. This is something else. This is what we call cryptides. Cryptides of this nature are usually guarding something. We call them the gatekeepers of a different plane. They're where, as Don said quite rightly, the mythical creatures may live. Not in spirit, not with hell or heaven, but in a completely different world. Right, we've spoken about a lot of things that you actually might see during the episodes of White Noise and Whispers. What we've not really spoken about is what you might see some of the team do when they're actually investigating. They might try some new experiments. Now, one of the experiments that you may see is if the energy level proves to be very, very high and there's a lot of condensed energy around and spirit is very, very active, we may ask a trained person to go into a meditative state. We then get that person to stand up and we'll have meters either side of them. These meters, if the energy level is high, will be hitting red. You've seen the meters in the show, they'll be hitting red. We can then ask the tranced medium, who is actually standing in the middle of the 2 meters, they have people either side, we can ask them questions. If they pull forward, it's a yes answer. If they tilt backwards, it's a no answer. This is called the human pendulum. Now, as White Noise and Whispers progresses and we investigate more and more, and as a team we become stronger, this is something that we might try one day. But there's also other things we do on investigation that you're probably, it's going to be included in some episodes and you probably get to hear as well. This thing called EVP. Don.
Now, EVPs are used always on investigation. Now, you can use a digital recorder or you can use a taped recorder. And you ask questions and you listen back and you see if spirit has answered. Be very careful that there is no other contamination though, of other people in your group talking or anyone else in that building. Now EVP stands for electronic voice phenomena. It has been studied for many years but has been proven it does exist. I myself have caught a few very good EVPs that have just blown me away. Horses, for example, in a hospital. Who'd have thought it? If you have any sort of doubts about EVPs, try it yourself. Get yourself a recorder, put it down, just ask 1 or 2 questions and play it back and see what you get. You may just be surprised.
Remember though, always try and plug your earphones in, because hearing via earphones usually gets better results. If you're still unsure, put your EVP onto a program, see if you've got some dips and peaks. Then have a listen, maybe amplify it. You might be surprised, as Don said, we have had this, we have loads of EVPs, and no doubt, White Noise and Whispers, you'll be hearing some of those EVPs. Right, you might have noticed all the way through this interview that I've had this hanging around my neck. This is actually called a spirit sand ball. Inside it, there is a little ball, and it's covered in purple plastic, but it rings. Now this can be heard by spirit, and if you're very lucky on an investigation, I'll ring the ball, and hopefully spirit will find something that it can ding on, and it can ring. We have had it happen. We've heard it more than once. Also, you may notice that a lot of the mediums wear certain things about their body. This, for instance, this is called blue lace. This is for protection over psychic headaches. Mediums, when they work, get very tired around their heads. I'm sure Dom will agree.
Yeah.
We come away mentally and utterly drained. This is to stop that happening. It is actually for headaches and can be used for all other headaches. You also notice that a lot of mediums wear crystals. This one here is called an amethyst. And this one here is called a rose quartz. These are both for protection. They do different things, but they are both for protection. And this one here is called tiger's eye. Tiger's eye is to keep negative, bad, malevolent spirits away from me. When I'm working, I never go anywhere without my crystals and my protection. Also, one last thing. That's a St. Christopher, but it's not a St. Christopher, it's St. Michael. St. Michael is the all-powerful fallen angel of protection. He is the angel and the prayers that we use for a lot of our work. Mediums don't do any work unless we're asking St. Michael to walk among us. And that's pretty much it on the crystal front. Crystals are also used in healing, but I'm sure that can wait as another day, because I don't think we'll be doing any healing on White Noise and Whispers. Right, so that's the end of our little talk. Hope you like listening to our explanations and knowing all about our jargons, any experiments and all of that. Don, is there anything you'd like to add?
I'd just like to say I hope you gain something from what you've heard and what you've seen. Take it on board, use it on your investigations. Be safe when you're out there, look after each other, but most of all, enjoy it.
Absolutely. We've done this recording at a very lovely location. It's actually called the Enchanted Woodlands. The walks around here are beautiful, the countryside is beautiful. As you can see, we have lanes everywhere. There's even a small arena that is actually purposely built for people to sit around and enjoy live music. There's a fire pit. The scouts come here, children come here on school trips. Absolutely beautiful place. But there's one little oddity about this place, and that is what you see here. A very loved lady here for a very special reason. I don't know whether I'm going to disclose that reason at the moment. I will say this lady is very important, and she also now has a name named after her. So obviously the community thought a lot of this lady as well. She has a history, a very long history, and I'm very proud to say she is my neighbour. My house is 10 foot that way. This is my neighbour, and I am pleased to have her. So that's that. From me, I'm
And me.
Andrea.
And me, Don. Thank you for watching.
Ta-ta.
Bye for now.